Hello and welcome back to the channel. And this week we are doing a week of meals. So I'm going to bring you along with everything that I cook or bake. So the first thing we're going to make are some mini coffee cakes. And the recipe I'm going to be using is from crazyforcrust.com, and it is their coffee cake muffins mini crumb cake bites recipe. The coffee cake muffins turned out absolutely amazing. Okay, so tonight for dinner, I'm going to be making New England clam chowder. I'm using canned clams. That's how I was raised with my dad making it, and that's how I prefer to make it. Also, I don't have a recipe for this, so I will kind of walk you through what I'm doing, but I don't have a set recipe for this anymore. Once I started making it often and I knew how to make it just off the top of my head, that's how I make it. So first, we are going to cut up the bacon. Now while the bacon's cooking, we are going to cut up the onions and the potatoes. strain it off. Now we're going to pour just a little bit back in to cook the onions and the garlic. Now that the onions and the garlic are cooked down, I'm going to add the potatoes, cream, and some chicken broth. I'm going to put the lid on and get the potatoes nice and soft so I can mash them. And while we wait, we'll open up our canned clams. I'm using 2 cans, but I'm only saving 1 can of juice. Okay, I'm going to smash test the potatoes, see how they're doing. They definitely need to go for a little bit longer. Put this back on and let them go. I thought I hit record and I did not. So I mashed the potatoes. I added salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and thyme. And then I added my 2 cans of clams. And one of the cans, I kept the juice and added it in here. And then I also added the bacon back and gave it a stir. So we're going to do a quick taste test. Well, that tastes perfect, so I'm going to let it cool down a little bit before I put it in the bowls. Have my bowl of soup, got the oyster crackers. Let's give it a try. Still very hot, but it's really, really good. And that is it for Wednesday night. So it is Thursday night, and tonight we are making steak fajitas. So while Trevor cuts up the veggies, which is onion and bell pepper, I'm going to get started on cooking the steaks. So that's just bacon grease. I'm just going to do about 4 minutes on each side. While that's cooking, I'm going to make the fajita seasoning. This is the recipe that I use. I do add a little bit of oregano to the recipe. Okay, now that the steaks are done, I'm going to take them off. Onion and garlic. Normally I would make tortillas for this, but we ended up buying tortillas because I also made some enchiladas. So to make my life a little bit easier, Trevor wanted to buy tortillas instead of make them. But I do have a tortilla press on the way, which I'm very excited about because rolling it out is like what takes the longest. Now we're gonna add our fajita seasoning.
Yeah, it's ready.
And now we cheese. Our cheese is frozen. Is that enough?
Yeah.
And that is it for Thursday night. So we are going to eat and find something to watch. So on Friday night, we ended up just having leftovers. So it is Saturday today, and we are going to make a loaded mac and cheese. So Trevor's gonna cut up onion, jalapeno, and broccoli while I get started on the pasta because Trevor has requested angel hair pasta that's cut up small. So we need to break all of those pieces into smaller bits and then we can get them boiling on the stove. We're also putting bacon in it. So I need to get that cut up and cooking as well. I'm also going to cook the broccoli with the noodles. We're also going to be adding home canned hatch green chilies, and cheese. Now with what's left in here, we're gonna add onions and the jalapenos. I'm gonna turn this one on low. Try to get all that cheese melted. We're gonna add salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder.
Shut it down real quick. I was like, oh, maybe go like lazy play. Go PlayStation.
And if anybody is curious, Thursday night we ended up watching Deadpool and Wolverine, and then last night we watched the second episode of season 2 of Severance that has been coming out. And we really, really enjoy that show. So that's been a little annoying that we have to wait week by week for it to come out, but we've really been enjoying it. And tonight we are going to watch the last Venom movie, or the latest Venom movie, I should say. Now it's time for a taste test. Loaded mac and cheese is one of my all-time favorite meals. Not only because it's super easy, but you can make it however you want. You can add whatever you want to it. And tonight's turned out very good, albeit a little bit spicy. So that is it for Saturday night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. It is Sunday night, and we are going to be making enchilada casserole. So I've already cooked the chicken, and Trevor's going to cut up the onion and get those cooking. I'm going to shred the chicken. We are also adding bell pepper tonight because we have some in the fridge and we want to use them up. We are also going to be adding some hatch green chili, of course, home canned, and black beans. So we'll get all that mixed together, and then we'll start building our casserole. Here's my cheese bowl. You used my cheese bowl.
Oh, I did.
It's all right.
Oh, the cheese bowl is big.
It's a cheese drainage bowl.
What? Drain the cheese?
Yeah.
You being serious?
Yeah, the kefir cheese.
Oh.
You gotta drain the cheese.
Oh, was there? What? Was there kefir in there?
A very small amount of kefir cheese runoff, yeah.
Yeah, let's do one corn, one black bean.
Okay.
Need corn?
I do need a corn.
All right, these are done. I'd say they look quite delicious. Do you say so myself? All right, where's all the finished product going?
In the bowl I just gave you.
I need that.
Heavy, huh?
So glad I work out. Awesome. So light. Oh god. Good. Yeah.
that good?
Heck yeah, looks amazing.
Okay, so all the layering is done, and we're going to cook this for 20 to 30 minutes, kind of depending on where the cheese is at and how things are looking. Leave it. Good. Okay, it's time to give it a try. As expected, absolutely delicious. So we are going to enjoy our dinner and we'll see you tomorrow night. So it is Monday and I think we're going to skip dinner tonight because we still have a ton of enchiladas left. But I wanted to make a chocolate cream cheese muffin or a loaf, but instead of cream cheese, we are going to be using kefir cheese. They are drastically different in terms of taste. Kefir cheese is very, very tangy, but we enjoy kefir cheese and I think it'll be a really nice balance with the sweetness of the chocolate and the tanginess of the kefir cheese itself. So I have some kefir cheese that I made and I have some from a neighbor as well, so we're going to combine them so we have enough. It's also a wildly windy day today. When I looked it up, we are getting gusts of around 40 miles an hour. Thankfully no trees have come down, but it's definitely bringing in a lot of cooler air as well. For the past week, it's been well above freezing and raining, so we are pretty much ready for that to end and to be back into the cold temps. So with that, let's get started. And I forgot to say, the recipe is coming from womanscribbles.net and it is the chocolate loaf cake with cream cheese filling recipe. I was supposed to beat the butter, which this is tallow, not butter, with the sugar first and then add the eggs, and I did not do that. So I'm sure it'll be fine. Also calls for a cup of buttermilk, which I don't have, so we're going to make with milk and vinegar. So sugar. Well, it's not quite how I imagined this recipe is supposed to look, but we're going to bake it anyways and see how it turns out. So it looks really good. There's not as much cheese in the layers as I thought there would be. And I think that's just because of it being kefir cheese. It was thinner than maybe what the cream cheese would have been like because it did spread out quite a bit when I added that extra dough on top. It tastes really good though. It's a lot mellower now that it's baked into the bread, but it still has a nice tang to it that balances really well with the chocolate itself. And I really like it with the kefir cheese. So that's a nice thing to know that I can use it in baked goods because I wasn't sure how it would turn out. So this was my first experiment using kefir cheese in place of something like cream cheese in a baked good. But this is really good. It's definitely a recipe I'm going to keep, and I would like to see it as a muffin as opposed to a bread. But I think I also want to experiment with drying out the kefir cheese a little bit or straining it more so it's not as wet, or adding something to it to thicken it up. That way when I pour it into the chocolate batter, it doesn't spread out the way it did. It is Tuesday and we are just going to be having the leftover enchiladas again. So that is it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed and we'll see you next week.